Hi, Lucy here. This video is one in a series of interviews in which I'm covering different therapies with different therapists, diving into questions that will help you to discover which might be the best and most effective solution for you with the challenge that you currently want to overcome. I'm an holistic high flow coach, helping others to maximize their health, time, and energy to reach peak performance. And today I'm joined by Michelle Banks. Hello, Michelle.
Hi, Lucy.
Welcome. And before I let you go into your story, Michelle, what I'd love to do is just share with our audience a little bit more about your qualifications and your background. So Michelle has many qualifications. She is an Ascension Energy teacher, a Reiki master, a light body teacher, meditation and mindfulness teacher, and is a practitioner and teacher in various energy massage therapies, including Indian head and Thai massage, crystal therapist and teacher, and so much more, including an energy artist and crystal jewellery maker, and has been qualified since 1993. And this is the subject we're going to dive deep on with Michelle today. It's crystals. So Michelle, with that, I'd love to hand over to you to hear more about your story and the pivot moments and what's brought you into being a therapist.
Hi, thank you, Lucy. Yes, my journey began when I was approximately 12 years old. I had to have major surgery, so I was immobilized for a good 12 months or more. During that time, I can't and couldn't take conventional pharmaceutical pain medication or pain relief of any form. So I had to look for and find a variety of ways that would work for me and with me for my physical body to be able to get up and to move around and to minimize the pain that I was experiencing and would continue to experience over many, many years. So I was introduced to crystals at about 14 years old, and the first one was an amethyst. And at that time, following surgery, there was a lot of what I might call stress and anxiety with regards to learning to walk, etc. again. And I found myself holding the crystal of the amethyst. And I found that it actually soothed and calmed any thoughts, but then also from that, because I am sensitive to energies and always have been, I went on until early 20s and began the process of learning various different techniques and skill sets, various healing modalities of all forms and genres, both having treatments and then going on to study nutrition, exercise, yoga, various different ones, to be able to incorporate into my well-being for daily life, for being able to maneuver around physically and also to deal with the pain that I had and will continue to probably have. So I instigated and ensured that I had a high level of awareness regarding the influences and effects of all of these. And then I went on to do the practices upon others as a therapist initially, and I did that for a good number of years for many thousands of clients throughout the years, and then went on to teach. So we do spend most of our time teaching now. However, we do give the practice of therapies when required.
Fantastic. Lovely. I love hearing people's backstory. Really interesting. And because you've learned all of those therapies, you practice those and use those on yourself to help you. So you know firsthand how it feels to receive those therapies as well, right? So when you're teaching and when you're giving those therapies, it's from a first-hand perspective, which is fantastic. So now we're going to dive into crystals. So if you can just give us some basics about crystals first, and perhaps about the questions that you know that you get asked by people, like, which crystal should I choose, Michelle? So if you start around there, that would be fantastic.
Okay, well, crystals, it's a wonderful world. introducing the connection to crystals and what they can actually offer us in daily life, not only for physical health and well-being, but also throughout our auric field for our emotions and also our thoughts as well. So formed deep within the earth, the majority of them they come in a variety of different shapes and sizes and are formed through various processes such as gases and location and various other processes that go on deep within the earth. When they arrive to us, quite often they will be either in their natural form or shape, or they will have been shaped and formed by people to give them that specific design. For instance, we have a heart shape there of tiger's eye being shaped and formed, and then we have the more natural formation and shape of the amethyst. So imagine that deep within the earth, how it actually forms. And some are huge and some are quite small. Some are one location, which means there is a very minimal amount available. And some are throughout the whole of the earth, throughout many, many different locations. So that means there is more available access to be able to have them.
Fantastic. So if somebody's just getting started with crystals and they're just kind of fascinated and they like the look of them, but they think, which one should I choose? Can I get it wrong? If I've got pain somewhere, should I choose? Which crystal should I choose? Can you answer to that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, with depending what's going on will depend on the specific answer. However, as a general, no matter what may be going on, clear quartz is what we call the master generator. And you can see it there, and that can be used for absolutely anything and everything. So you may like to think that if you have backache, you may want to think about, well, where does the backache pain begin? What is the cause of the backache? How does it influence and affect me on a daily level? Does it come and go, or is it constant? Have you had it checked out by the medical professions or your own personal healthcare provider? And if you haven't, and then it's concerning you and you think, I might like to try crystals and see if they work, then you might like to think about the type of pain it is. Is it sharp? Is it cold? Does it feel like a cold sensation? Is it prickly? There are lots and lots of different forms of pain that can go on throughout the body. So choosing a crystal will be relevant to the specific pain, which is why initially I say the clear quartz, because you can use it for everything. It can take away heat. It can be placed on an area of the body to not only to cool it down, but to soften the congested energies that may actually be there. So if you've got spasms, etc., like that going on within the body, at the lower back, then you can hold and use the crystal to soothe and to calm that down, like a little bit of a self-massage, or you can hold it close to you and take a few breaths. That will also help to sort of settle up as we start to relax from the pain. Then it releases some of the tension that goes with that for the muscular and skeletal areas.
Okay, so tell me how it does that.
How does it do that?
Because it sounds like magic.
Yeah, it does. It does. So if we are giving a treatment, then initially we will begin within the auric field. And the reason for this is because quite often if somebody has a lot of pain or has a long-term disability, chronic condition, that can have been building up and transpiring for quite a long time. So sometimes by starting back out within the energy field, within the aura, our own personal and sacred space, we can allow the body to relax. It's not going to feel that it's being invaded or pressed upon very quickly, as sometimes that can actually make somebody feel really uncomfortable. The pressure, we can't all have pressure on areas of the body. It's not pleasant. So initially for the first treatment, we would ask somebody to either sit or lie down, however they feel comfortable. And then from that, once we discussed what was going on with them personally and decided on a plan to move forward, then we would choose crystals, and then we will place them in the auric field. So by doing that, we allow the little energy points throughout the meridians. We have little tsubos, which are like little gateways, essentially. And these little gateways allow energy to flow throughout the entire system. Depending what conditions we've got and what's going on in life, they can close down somewhere, and this stops the flows of energy. You might like think of a blockage in the sink, something like that. If sometimes when it gets blocked, we have to kind of do something about it to unblock it, to allow the water and the excess to flow through. So that is just the same. So for the first treatment, we would work through placing the crystals, and usually would begin initially with little tumble crystals, which are very little, like that you can see. And they're very gentle. We place them around the body initially for the first treatment, and just allow the body to familiarize itself with the energy of the crystals. And then consecutive treatments, we would get closer and closer to the body. We'd work through the chakra system also, with the feet and the top of the head, and any areas that held excessive tension from the condition or whatever might be going on. We focus upon the breath, and we allow our participants and clients to hold the crystals as and when they feel comfortable. So, for example, the third treatment, we then start to place the crystals upon the body in various areas that are appropriate for each person.
Fantastic. That's great, because it gives somebody an idea of what a crystal therapy session would be like. And it's not just one session, it is a sequence of sessions. As you get, like you say, you're getting those crystals closer and closer to the pain point or the challenge that somebody's wanting to overcome. So on that note, what sorts of things can crystal healers heal and help with? I know before we started off and we kicked off, we talked about thyroid was one of them. So perhaps start off with that.
Yeah, one of the most important things I think that I always share to do is, if we have a specific illness or condition such as thyroid, quite often these conditions come with a multitude of various different symptoms. So whilst we want to, do what we can to assist the thyroid, whether that's thyroidism or hyperthyroidism, then we want to bear all of the symptoms also in mind. So what we'd suggest is, obviously thyroid is in the throat. However, it is intrinsically connected to every other part of the body, influencing and affecting all of the system, and can cause a whole load of symptoms. So initially we would say a blue crystal, because it will calm and soothe if you are hyperthyroid. If hypothyroid, you want some stimulation, so we would use carnelian, citrine or sunstone, because the thyroid and the solar plexus area will work in unison. But what we always suggest is that you chase the symptoms. So whilst you may take one crystal and place it on the throat area, the body and the energy field do not work singularly. They work as a whole unit. So we always suggest using probably more than one crystal to allow the flow throughout the system to become softer and gentler and more increased. So if we were using one of the blue ones, for instance, the light and sunstone is fantastic for anything like the thyroid, purely because it contains the warmth and the vitality needed if you have hypothyroidism, and also calming and soothing if you have hyperthyroidism. So you can place it there, and then you can move it down, just holding it where you want. But chasing the symptoms, if you are tired or fatigued, for instance, then we would recommend a crystal for that, so that you've got it as a little toolkit, shall we say, that you can, I'm really tired today, I want something to just give me a little boost. Or if you are feeling slightly depressed, then we would recommend, chasing each symptom as it arises for every condition. For instance, if you have arthritis and the pain that can come from that, is it what triggers that pain? It's really looking at your whole self and incorporating any symptoms that you get with your awareness, and then following through from there with the various different crystals that you can use.
So that sounds like you can be working on and helping lots of different ailments and working deeper, rather than just looking at, okay, well, that's the thing. It's like, well, what's happening in the body to create that thing? create that arthritis, to create the thyroid being knocked out of kilter. So that's really important to understand as well. And then you're saying also you can take away like a toolkit of crystals and help yourself at home as well. Is that, would that be between sessions and as you get more knowledge of how to work it, Michelle?
Yeah, it is. When we see clients, we always offer them 3 to 5 crystals that they can take away with them so that they can continue the work that has begun from the initial treatment stage. And that also, it gives them time and an opportunity to gain sometimes more awareness of the condition that they may have, or something that's going on if they want more focus, etc. If there's a circumstance going on in life and they want to know how they can move forward with that, if it's a little bit difficult. It can help with clarity. It can also help with the pain and also the emotional support. So we generally give 3 to 5 crystals as a little toolkit, a little pouch for clients or students to be able to go away with and just get to know the crystals a little bit, because we all have an innate skill set to be able to connect. And the response that we get from the body is in correlation to the crystal. Do we choose the crystal? Does the crystal choose us? Well, that can be a little bit of both. We will either resonate with the crystal or we won't. And sometimes the reason we don't is not because it's not right for us or there is something wrong with it. It is because at that particular time, it is not the most beneficial for us.
Okay, so finding or choosing a crystal that resonates with us, how would we know that? Talk about the resonate, how would it resonate with us when somebody's going into a crystal shop, for example, and there are a load of crystals in there? How do you choose?
Yeah, I would say take a moment. If you're going in specifically for a particular problem or an area in life that you are thinking, I want to try crystal, see how it works with this for me, then have a think about that before you actually go in the shop. Just for a few moments, and what do I really need? Is it support? Is it clarity? Do I need to feel more stabilized? Am I feeling a little bit unsettled? So have a little bit think about to yourself, what is it that I'm actually really needing? And then you go into the crystal shop and it can be overwhelming because there can be so many and they are all shapes, sizes, colours, prices, etc. If you've never used crystal before, I would usually recommend going for something really simple and easy to be able to use for most things, such as clear quartz, amethyst or rose quartz. So, because you're going to see loads and it's quite overwhelming, and you may have a perception of going in for a particular thing, but there might be something else that catches your eye. So we teach all of this in our crystal workshops, but actually it comes back down to you. So it doesn't matter what you've heard or read or seen. You will have a look around the shop. Initially, we would just sort of say, have a look round and just get a general feel if there's anything jumps out visually for you. It may even be auditory. You may actually hear something from the crystal, a little connection. And then if you're still not certain, have a little feel, pick some up. Obviously, if that's what the shop allows you to do. I know in our courses we allow free reign to touch because it's so important, because by touching and holding, how does it make you feel? Does it feel different in the left hand? Does it feel different in the right hand? Sometimes if we have female things going on, hormonal, holding in the right hand can have a different effect than holding in the left, purely because of the balance between the left side and the right side, the receiving and the giving. So you can pick one up and hold it in the center point and then see how that feels. So there's loads and loads of different ways you can feel or make that connection. And sometimes you can have a look around and you think there isn't really anything that you feel drawn to. So then just leave it at that time. Maybe there isn't one specifically for you in that particular place.
Okay, fantastic. And then you also spoke about the sort of the crafted crystals. So going on from the heart shape, what other shapes would there be that are pertinent to feeling different ways, or to help you to feel different ways?
Yeah, we have the little palm stones, which are really nice. And I've got an angelite one here and a lepidolite one here. And to hold, they do come in various sizes. To hold for support, they can just be held really nicely because they fit in the palm of the hand. So those are the palm stones. They're also quite nice to place, for instance, behind the back, if you've got a little bit of a problem going on there, behind the neck also, because they lie quite comfortably upon the areas of the body. And then we have the little tumbles, which are, they do vary in size, but mostly they are quite small. They're quite handy to carry in a pocket. So if you're focusing your awareness on something that you're wanting to clear and move through, carrying one of the little ones, easy to carry with you. So if, for example, you're working with anxiety, having a little tumble, and just by pressing it like that with finger and thumb in your pocket, if you're starting to feel anxious about something, you can use it as a reminder to bring yourself back to your breath, back to feeling anchored and grounded with your feet, to sort of settle yourself somewhat. So that's with the little tumbles. And you can also have these little ones, they're like little pointy ones, like a little pear shape, and they can be used for along the meridians like that. They can also be used in the little hand chakras as well, and on the little fingers and thumbs. So those are really quite useful. And then we have the towers, all shapes, all sizes, all colours and all crystals. Fantastic to have around the home. Generally in a crystal healing session, don't really particularly use the towers unless they are around the auric field. They're not normally placed upon the body unless you really, really like one and you just kind of want. They're nice to hold and to just sort of snuggle. So kind of if you're feeling sad and you're having, a real tough day, you can always get a tower and just sort of hold it. And because of the bottom expanse and solidity, it's really quite grounding and anchoring. And then if you think about the pointy at the top of, some of them are a little bit sharp, so just be careful with that. It's just remembrance of as above and so below, and the stability of the alignment throughout the system. So they're just quite nice to hold as well. Then we have the more natural formations like that, which are fantastic for catching light, sparkling and twinkly, and quite joyful to just sort of have around. We don't normally place them on the body for treatments, but they are useful to have in the home environment. And then we get the double terminated points. They are useful for a whole variety of things. So if you think about perhaps the shoulders and the correlation to the hip throughout the energy field, they're quite useful to be placing upon the body to allow the energy to flow with free form throughout the meridian system. It can also be placed throughout the chakra systems to bring the energy as above, so below, and down to create that flow. We can also use these for dispersing energy out and then increasing the energy flows within as well. So that those are quite good, the double terminated. And then we have the eggs. The eggs are really, really nice because, again, with them being bigger at the bottom and the base, they take you back down into the hips, right down through the legs and into the feet, and really anchor your energy quite stably. Really useful if you've got a lot going on in life, a lot of worries, a lot of concerns, a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress-related things going on. Nice to have. And then also the shape of the auric field can often be perceived as being an egg shape, so you may want to think about that and as being comforting and around you, and bring your awareness to that area of your own energy. So they're quite useful for that as well, the eggs.
Beautiful.
And so we have a whole variety of natural shaped and then formed as well.
And do crystals ever need cleaning, Michelle?
Yes, they do. They do. They're like us. We can get been out in the garden. We can get a little bit grubby, get the mud off. So yeah, if you think that from the time that they are developed deep within the earth, they are brought up to, and they gather and collect a whole load of energy from various different places throughout their transportation until they finally get to us. So they will have accumulated energy, which just needs cleaning off. They will also look a little bit grubby, a little bit like they just need a nice little clean and nice little wash. Because if you think anything that we have sort of appliance-wise that might be nice and new and it works really, really well. But over time, things can accumulate and then they don't always work as well. So keeping them nice and clean can make them work brighter and lighter to help with what you actually want them for.
And is there anything you need to specially clean them with? Or is it just water?
Yeah, no, there are various ways that you can clean them. I always just use water and a tiny little bit of washing up liquid. And then rinse them off. It doesn't need to be complicated. They can go in the sun to dry and charge up. If you're giving them a rest, they can go under the moonlight also, which is quite nice if you're using them for a specific thing. But generally, when you get them, first thing to do normally is to clean them, wash them off, then they're yours. And then they're all nice and clean with nobody else's energy and nothing that's been handled or anything like that. Sometimes we, inadvertently might touch something in a shop and we might have, something sticky on our fingers or whatever. So it's all nice and clean, ready for you to use for you and your sacred space.
Yeah. So even if you just bought it from a shop, wash it off in case other people have been handling it as well and you don't want them.
First thing, make it nice and clean for you and your space.
Smashing. Now, I know there's one thing I want to see before we end off, Michelle, and it's a crystal bowl. Can you tell us about the crystal singing bowl?
I can, yes. As sound healers, we use the crystal singing bowls. They are fantastic, and I'm gonna bring it over for you to look at. They come in a whole variety of shapes and sizes and colours and frequencies, and they are made and formulated out of clear quartz. Some of them are infused with other crystals and some are dyed to make them a specific colour. Usually they are thought of as being correlation to the specific chakra of the colour, but they're not. You can use them for any area of the body, throughout the auric field. And you can use them as the formulation of a meditation practice for daily life. If you find you need to focus your awareness to bring yourself back to center.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, they are.
So fantastic. Now I know one more thing before we come to our last question. You also make crystal jewellery.
Yes, we do. We do. The reason I actually started to make crystal jewellery was because my wrists are tiny, and because early on I knew the value of crystals, I wanted to be able to access crystals to wear when I needed them or when I felt that they would have been a benefit. But at that time, it was over 40 years ago, there was crystal jewellery was few and far between. So I started to make my own so they could fit my wrists, essentially. So yeah, we do. We make them. We used to make a variety of different forms, but now we make them very simple. And the reason being, there are so many beautiful crystals accessible that can be used for so many different things. The selection that we have available is vast, of all forms, some quite unusual ones, one location ones, two of them are ones that you can get readily available. So this is just a little sample. We normally put them on sterling silver as well, but we also now put them on the threads, depending where you place a necklace specifically, and the size can have a variation upon the influence and the effects upon the energy field. So for example, if you're wanting clarity of thought, so you think I'm going to go and get a amethyst necklace, you can either have it quite high up here like that, a little bit further down, more to the heart area, and then sometimes we might want them even further down than that, which is the solar plexus. Everywhere it lands will have a specific and different influence and effect upon the energy field. All different shapes, sizes, all will have a completely different influence and effect. For instance, this little rose quartz one, tiny little one, You don't need a vast amount of crystal to do what it needs to do. So bigger isn't
Better.
necessarily better. Yeah. Sometimes smaller is actually better because it works in a completely different way energetically than the larger ones. So we do the necklaces and we do the bracelets as well. Again, with the bracelets, we tend to keep them very simple now. We used to do quite intricate ones, but we don't now because we find that for everyday wear is when most people are finding the benefit from them, using them for day-to-day normal putting on and rather than on special occasions. So we make them, they're really easy to clean, they're really easy to have on and off. And because of anybody that may have problems with their wrists or fingers, we just do them elastic now. They're really easy to pop on and off if you've got any problems with hand
Fantastic.
movement.
And so presumably you would then take them off at night to give your body a rest from the healing.
Yeah. Where generally we would say it's for this one is Larimar, and we would only usually recommend wearing any of them really for 3 days at a time because of they are always working. So when they actually stop and your body needs a rest, when your body actually needs a rest, they're not going to do anything for you anymore. So you might as well take them off, let them have a rest, let your body have a rest, wash them, do what you need to do with them. All ours are actually washable for that reason. Give them a nice little clean. And then see how you feel without them. Leave it for a week. Try it again for another couple of days. And start to develop the natural intuition regarding wearing them. Which you've got a favourite one, obviously, you can wear it all the time, etc. But for working crystals, which is how we do them to work with, not just beautiful, but they are actually there for a reason to assist, and have them on and then have them off to give yourself, your body's a rest so it can catch up because it's working as energy, so it needs to everything catch up back to the physical.
Great. So it's being very aware of your body. Wow, amazing. This has been tons of information. It's been very interesting, Michelle. Thank you so much. We're going to come to our last question. I'm going to ask you to give 3 top tips to our listeners. Just before that, I'm just going to condense everything that you've said. If you're just getting started, go for a very clear crystal and you can't really choose the wrong one. If you're going to go for a session, it's going to be probably 4 or 5 sessions. So speak to your crystal healer and find out about that. And it will probably depend on the severity of the challenge that you're having. But it has the possibility of helping with lots of different ailments. And you can get lots of different shapes and sizes. And it's just choosing the one that feels right to you. You can't really get it wrong. And so to our last question, Michelle, would you please give our listeners 3 top tips if they're thinking, oh, crystals sound fantastic. Now I want to go and try them. What are the 3 top tips that you would give and leave them with?
Have fun. That would be the first one. Really just have fun. Don't be too attached to outcome or the rights and the wrongs. Just go and choose one. Have fun. Play with them. Have a feel with them. If you pick one up and you think, oh, I've got a bit of a shoulder ache. Oh, I wonder if that's going to work. Where would I place it? How will it feel? Have a really connect back into self is one of the things that I would say. Take a moment with yourself just for you. Take a moment to breathe and have some fun with whatever it is that you decide to choose. Don't be overwhelmed with the amount that there are available. Specifically, just go in with the sense of this is what I want for myself. I'm going to have fun choosing. So to do that. And then just to get a few little ones to start with, little tumbles, fluorites, clear quartz, amethyst, rose quartz, always pretty good. Just to have a hold of, have a feel, play with yourself. What does it feel like here? Oh, is that cooling? Was that warming? Do I want to rub myself, a little massage with it? So those would probably be the 3 things that I would suggest.
Fantastic. Well, I want to thank you once again for your time, Michelle. That's brilliant. And thank you to our audience for your time, for your energy, for your interest. And there'll be another video popping up on screen here. So if you want to find out about another therapy, having found out about this one, please do click on that link and go through there. and we have a fantastic day. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye for now.